The most accepted opinion points towards the old Benin Kingdom.
The origin of the Ikwerres has been subject of research. Ikwerre set up a research committee to research, among other things, the origin of the Ikwerre people. Many researchers came up with different theories of migration. In the end, one, in fact, two or three crystallized. The first one was the Benin connection. Then there is the Igbo connection. And then there is the, what they call the autochthony. It's a jaw-breaking word, but meaning that the people have always been there. They came from nowhere, they've always been there. So when we looked at the various versions and then looked at the connections and so on, the Benin connection appears to have become prominent.
The origin of Ikwerre, aka Ikwerre, is Benin Kingdom in Edo State of Nigeria.
The history of origin of Ikwerre some people say Ikwerre came from out of Europe. Some people say Ikwerre came from Benin. I rely on Igbo Prima, known as Azunda. It was that Prima that highlighted us of exodus from Benin. The exodus from Benin moved as far as Abo and then spread. Some went straight to Onishalana. Some went on the ship. Some went to the present Onisha. Some went to the river and among those, all passed through Benin, passed through Abo, and settled where they are. Ebaya moved down, settled at Alahoda. Ikwerre moved down, settled in the area we find them now.
When we were growing up, we hear exclamation from the elders, Ikwerre Ochichi, Ikwerre Ochichi. It didn't mean anything to us. But later on, when people started writing history, people independently wrote history that Ikwerre was actually from a man called Ochichi, who had a brother, Akalaka. And they migrated from Benin when Benin was very hot. When the Oba then prevented people from getting male children because they had none, people started moving out. And these two brothers migrated towards this area, Niger Delta, and settled somewhere in Oba. And where Akalaka had two children, Oba and Beye. Ikwerre continued. He had so many children who now scattered everywhere until the Rebisi migrated to the waterfront and captured that place and stayed. So the history has it that Ikwerre is from Ochichi and Ochichi is from Benin.
There was a time there was an exodus in Benin Kingdom as a result of the misrule of the Oba of Benin. Two brothers, Ochichi and Akalaka, teamed up together with their families and moved eastwards. So they arrived at Oba first. By this time, his brother Akalaka has had two children. One is Beye and one is Oba, Akuba. And so at that point, they moved from that Oba and they left Akuba behind. And they moved forward. Ebeye moved forward with his uncle, Ochichi, who now has got a son known as Ikwerre. When they got to Ebeye decided to settle there. And then Ochichi moved with his son Ikwerre.
My grandfather told me that Ikwerre people migrated from Benin because of the chieftaincy. The trouble was very much high. Travel away up to Akabuka, settled there, and to where we are.
There is also a version of autonomy.
I can tell you that Ikwerre land, like all other communities worldwide, have their original people. There may not be many original people in the land. Nobody can say whether they fell down from heaven or from anywhere. There are original people in pockets of Ikwerre locations. And like migrations of human beings occur, people migrate into the community, not perhaps deliberately to migrate, but they can do so accidentally. Those who go on hunting expedition, they can go there and meet people who are already there. And if they interact with them and they know and they like the environment, they integrate. And then from there, others will be coming from other directions. You know, Ikwerre is bordered with several other ethnic communities. The important thing is that when these people come and integrate themselves into Ikwerre culture and so on, they become the same.
Ikwerre is one of the ethnic nationalities in Nigeria. Ikwerre form major part of River State. The origin of Ikwerre cannot be emphasized because our ancestors have told us the history of Ikwerre as a distinct entity of this Nigerian nation. And there is no adulteration. This history we have been handing over, and we are still handing over to our children, so that at any time they can say it well. Ikwerre did not migrate from any part of the country. We will find ourselves here. The founder of Ikwerre, who is Ochichi, did not say that we are coming from any place. He found himself here and he multiplied.
A famous professor of history who focuses more on traditions of origin, Professor E.J. Alagwa, in his book published 1987, Land and Peoples of River State, also spotlighted this assumption and belief of the Akwa people in what we call the history of autochthony. The Akwa people believe that they never migrated from anywhere. God planted them in Akwa Kingdom. Also, the late Nyewa Dafabo, also argued persuasively that if we believe that people will migrate from elsewhere to another place, we should also accept the fact that people also migrated from Akwa Kingdom to another place to settle. So Akwa is like the cradle of the Akwa people.
To some, the migration from Benin is uncertain.
Version that claims that Ikwerre migrated from Benin is something I'm still working on. As a research historian who has taken time to study the relationship between the Ikwerre and the Benin people, I think that I have not seen anything abundant or substantial to suggest that Ikwerre migrated from Benin land. If you consider our languages, consider our cultures, consider our names, the way we bear names, you can see that nothing is similar. So it would be very wrong for us to just make a hearsay out of oral tradition and suggest that Ikwerre migrated from Benin land. I don't think so. This thing is is open to ongoing assessment and research. For you to deal with such a sensitive matter, like the origin of a people, you must need strong evidence. You must need strong facts to substantiate your claims. It's not going to be an ordinary claim because what we're talking about is something that no eyewitness is around to tell us what really happened. And there is no documented record to base our claims. So it would be very wrong for us to say that we could have migrated from Binla without anything to show for it.
There is also a minor account suggesting Igbo origin.
The issue of Igbo origin and Igbo geography, including Igbo history, is one of the things that are very controversial in Igbo studies. As a matter of fact, people see the Igbo geography and the Igbo history as rather chameleonic because they keep on changing according to the dictates of time and the environment where they are situated. In the long distant past, many people outside the present Igbo land, across the Niger and within the rivers area, even some in parts of Bayelsa and Akwa Ibom, proudly introduced themselves as Igbo people. They were proud of identities and they tried as much as possible to defend that their Igbo identity. There was no political inclination, there was no social consideration, and people said things as they were. That was the age which Professor Adela Fibo correctly describes as the age of innocence. Unfortunately, the Igbo geography has continued to diminish in size. Many people who claimed that they were Igbo in the 1840s no longer do so. This is as a result of recent developments, especially at the end of the Nigerian Civil War.
Yeah, I agree with Taboos in his write-up to call Ikwerre a subgroup of Igbos. That is not true. At the time he wrote his history, or he did his research, there were preponderance of Igbo people living in this place called Ikwerre. Because of the generosity of Ikwerre man, he allowed people to come in, he gave them everything they needed. The land was very fertile, it was a very strategic position because of the Port Harcourt. So, in his interview, in his research, you either use questionnaire or you interview people. He would have interviewed people because they were prominent in Port Harcourt at the time. The Ikwerre people were mostly at that time militaries. Even in 1913, when Harcourt acquired this place, the man who did the translation was Yellow from Calabar area. And then, in 1958, when Willings published his report on the minorities, he was talking about Port Harcourt province, of which Ikwerre belongs, along with Tegeba province, Yenegua province, Ogoni province. They belong to the Niger Delta, and they are from the same environment. So, this environment owned by the Ikwerre man from the origin is not Igbo. Igbo man came, as I said, in 1913. Talbot would have interviewed Igbo man because they were predominant here. After 1958, when Willings published his report, Willings made use of the Igbo memorandum. He called the Vio people Igbo people inhabiting Port Harcourt. That Don Lugard acquired this land solely from Igbo group called Dio. Thank God he mentioned Dio. You know. So Talbot will have done the same thing. Originally, Ikwerre man, as I said, had his contact first and foremost with the Riverine people.
The Igbo relationship with the Ikwerre people, yes, there is strong similarity. The similarity in language, in customs and traditions all can suggest that Ikwerre migrated from Igbo land. Early ethnographers like P.L. Tabo, the Englishman that made his ethnography on Ikwerre in the 1930s, called the Ikwerre people a subgroup of Igbo land. And a subgroup means a people that had a subset of culture in resemblance to another culture. So all that we have in Ikwerre are still contained in the traditions and customs of Igbo land. Yes, so Taboos was not wrong for him to say that Ikwerre people migrated from Igbo land. But I think that before Taboos came into Ikwerre, the Ikwerre people have had this consciousness that Ikwerre is Ikwerre and not in any way a subgroup of any tribe of the world. In the 1950s, before independence, when the Igbos in Lagos founded a cultural organization called the Igbo Union to identify the Igbos in that area as belonging to one cultural entity, Ikwerre also followed suit immediately and founded their own cultural organization called Ikwerre Union, which was principally founded by late Jackson P. Official, IS Onwuchekwa of Elelenwo, and Emmanuel Ruji of Emowa, to also give a name and give identity to the Ikwerre ethnic nationality as belonging to one ethnic group. You see, so this consciousness that Ikwerre is Ikwerre did not start today. It has been in the mind of the Ikwerre people from generation unto generation. So this relationship that Ikwerre and Igbo have, I see them as brothers. They are not enemies in any way.
Language similarity is one parameter which tends to link the Ikwerre people to the Igbo.
Studies have been undertaken, ethnographic, linguistic, and other aspects have been undertaken. And there is abundant evidence that Ikwerre are a distinct subgroup. In fact, our orthography of Ikwerre is known as a different language from Igbo. And anybody who wants to check can go to the National Archives and linguistic authorities, they know. So there is no question of being a subgroup of the Igbo. There are relations. The languages in this, what I call broadly, the Congo, Niger, Congo, Delta Basin, there are related languages. They may be related, but they have different branches and they are different. And in our own case, anybody who wants to look at the evidence will find that Ikwerre is a different language from
we hold that we are not Igbos, but our Igbo brothers insist that we are Igbos. We say, no, we are not. And then they always point at the language thing. You people, the language is almost the same, so we are the same. But the language thing is not a final criterion for determining ethnicity. It isn't. If you look at the ethics and the Biblios, the language, there's a great similarity, but they're not the same people. You can't call an ethnic man and a Bibio man, you can. But there's a great similarity in the language. Look at Okreka and Kalabare, or Kalabare and Ijo. You know, you have a lot of similarity in the language, but they're not the same. You cannot call a Kalabare man an Okreka man, and he'll be happy. He won't be happy. He'll tell you are wrong. I'm Kalabare, this is Okreka. So that is what it is. The language criteria is very deceptive. I'll give you an example. If you go to Bonny, you find that the Bonny people speak Igbo. Why? Because in those days, you know, Bonny was a great slave center. A lot of Igbos moved in there and were engaged in the slave trade and the oil trade and so on. So gradually, the Bonny people lost the original language, which is Yebani. And so most people in Bonny now speak Igbo. But they have a distinct language, Yebani, which the Igbos can't understand. So on the face of it now, you can go to Bonny and say, oh, well, these people are Igbo people because they speak Igbo. But of course, you'll be very, very wrong. Because they are not Igbo people, they are Ibani people. And look at Bonny right at the ocean and think of us next door to the Igbos. Is it a wonder that you have a lot of words that are common to Igbo and Ikwerre? It isn't. If Bonny people who are even further away could lose their entire language and are now speaking Igbo, it isn't surprising. It shouldn't be surprising that we who are next door to the Igbo people have a lot of common words. But it does not mean that we are Igbos.
Yes, in terms of culture and language, there could be similarities. When Professor Williams was making a research on languages, in fact, he was an expert in Niger Delta languages. She saw similarities. Certain areas of the language in the job are similar to that of Ikwerre. Several languages were similar because of interaction. The same way, the several languages in Igbo were the same thing as that of Ikwerre. So he classified a language group as Igboid. He didn't say that they are the same. He said they are a language group, a group of languages. He called Igboid. He could have been one of them. How about the rest of them? Now, in terms of language, who influenced the other? It's difficult to say. It could be that Ikwerre influenced Igbos because the interaction was born. When the Igbos started coming in, the interaction was so born because they came in very large numbers in Ikwerre land because of the fertile land, because of the generosity of the people, because of the kindness of the people. They felt at home. Who knows whether they were influenced by the Ikwerre language? Even if they were not influenced, this interaction and similarities were there. I'll give an example. When we went to school in the 50s or 40s, I answered Simeon Israel. Why? Because it was the Calabari people who were teaching in the school. They didn't want to hear anything other than English, because they were asking the English names. That was Simeon Israel, Silas Fred, and that was what we were asking in school. Now, if he had continued, maybe we wouldn't have even been answering Ashidegu by now, Ahmadi. We would have gone by that if he had continued. But it had to come to an end when they left and the Igbos took over. So the influence of language does not mean that Ikwerre man is an Igbo.
I took pains to explain why we have language that is closely related to the Igbo, or what Professor K. Williamson referred to as Igboid language of the Lower Niger. In my textbook about a perspective of Ikwerre history, I took pains to explain that when cultures are encountered, one culture dominates the other and the other one becomes a restrictive culture. So in course of being in contact with the Igbos, the Ikwerre culture was dominated by the Igbo culture. And then the Igbo culture predominates the Ikwerre culture. But this does not mean that the Ikwerre people migrated from Igbo, as it were. Our language is simply classified as Igboid, but it does not suggest a migration.
Ikwerre is not people are deceived by the language. Now we speak English. Are we English people? We are not. We are now even speaking Wazobia. You understand? Are we Yorubas? Are we Hausa? We are not. There was trade. But if you look at it, Ikwerre came from the Benin Empire. Came down here because of trade. Trade goes with language. The Englishman came here and started buying slaves. And the slaves that we were buying and exchange of goods and services, it between people and this rich area corrupted the Ikwerre language. And we started speaking Igbo. I learned through the medium of Igbo language in the school. The reason is that teachers who came were Igbos. People who go to farm for us, they are Igbos. You have to communicate with them. The language, which was ours, changed. Some people will tell you, oh, we have a history of some. Yes, there are some people who came from the Igbo area to trade here and settle here. We learned their language. Because if you don't learn the language, you can't trade. All right. There was a time when my mother, all you would speak is Kalabari language. Because that is the way, that's the only medium of expression. He was telling Osaya and Gay, my parent, this. That did that make us Kalabari? No. We were here. Trade was here. This area was very productive. Fertility of the land and the infertility of the land as you go further to the land made them to come here.
Some Igbos argue that the Ikwerre left them because they were defeated during the Nigerian Biafran Civil War.
In fact, some known Igbo communities across the Niger and within the rivers area no longer feel proud to introduce themselves as Igbo. The reasons are not far-fetched. The eastern region fought a civil war, at the end of which they lost. We thank the federal government for declaring no victor, no vanquished. But we know that the aspirations of a group of people were smashed and truncated. And in order to gain relevance in the Nigerian equation, some of these known Igbo communities outside the heart of Igbo land, mainly in the Delta area and in the rivers region, try to do one thing or the other in order to distance themselves from the Igbo, because to them, the Igbo people were defeated people. And because of the political and social stigma attached to defeat, they started gradually to disassociate themselves from the Igbo group.
And the Ikwerre people think otherwise.
It is not true that the Ikwerre people disassociated themselves or alienated themselves from Igbo because the Igbos lost the war or were defeated during the Nigerian Biafran Civil War. I know that before independence, say in the 1950s, when the Igbos in Lagos founded a cultural organization called Igbo Union to identify with the Igbos in that place. The Ikwerre people followed suit immediately, and in some 1950s, founded their own cultural organization called Ikwerre Union, which was principally founded by late Jackson P. of Ishogo, I.S. Onwuchekwa Felelenwo, Emmanuel Eji of Emorwa, and so many others, to also identify Ikwerre as one cultural entity, and also to give a name to the Ikwerre people.
To expand on the origin of the Ikwerre, one fundamental question is raised.
There is one question that will be directed to every member of the Nigerian society, to every person who belongs to any tribe in Nigeria. If you ask an Igbo man, for example, whether all the people in Igbo land, that whether all the clans in Igbo land that make up the Igbo nation were born by one man, one woman, I don't think that the answer will be yes. If you ask the Ogonis, the Yorubas, the Ikwerre people, whether all the people in their tribes were born by one man, one woman, the answer will never be yes. So if the answer becomes no, then how can we now determine the origins of the other people who make up such tribes? In the past, the stronger nations used to wage war against the weaker nations. In time of executing such wars, the stronger nations or the weaker nations had to borrow people from other places for military assistance. Some had to conquer people. At the end of the war, they conquered and they borrowed, sometimes make part of the whole. You see, so some of the people who make up these tribes may have come from different environments to make up these tribes into whole nations.
In the political administration of the land, the red card chiefs, known as the Elom or the Ohohodas, are important. Lack of political understanding and unity caused Ikwerre some setbacks in the past.
Our people, as I said, did not embrace politics at the time. So when we came, we didn't know how to play the politics. We played the politics under the leadership of other ethnic tribes. We were not together. There was no platform for an Ikwerre man to get launched into political ground. All we did was, you will go, without preparing or knowing what to do. They used us. Even people from other places were coming to take the place that Ikwerre man should take. That ignorance was what sent us back. Ignorance, lack of togetherness. Conquered it by bringing Ikwerre together, saying that what Obiwale suffered should stop. What Obidike Wanade suffered should stop. And that the right Ikwerre people should occupy high government offices. That was now how we showcased our people and use that to galvanize and bring Ikwerre people together to say, here we are going, here we are not going. And having the majority, but silent majority as before, and bringing this majority out of silence, enable the leadership that should to get together to agree that there's no need to fight your brother, there's no need another man from another side coming to play politics here. We really had the majority. They were not together. We really had the majority, but they were not schooled in political areas.
But the desired change, long expected, came from others.
I can say that the success so far we have achieved. We cannot thank what they did for the way he embraced Ikwerre and the way he provided the platform. You can't thank him enough. During one of the Ikwerre Day celebration, we gave all the prominence. We know that Amechi grew under his tutelage. We also know that Omeya grew under his tutelage. Us now, all of them, all the league gave them the support to aspire to the position of governorship. If Ikwerre will remember that no governor has given us that kind of opportunity, we will never forget what they did. Never forget it. However, Satan comes between him and his children, they only can explain. But for us, by the side, we thank him for what he did. And we believe that if not for anything, the Almighty God will compensate him and bless those his children too. They may have quarrel, husband and wife quarrel, children and their fathers quarrel, but they will one day, by the grace of God, come together and chat, give back of unity and progress together. Because they have so done for several years. Each of them left what they should have been doing that would be selfish and embrace the other. There was a time when, and I reminded all the leaders that look, this boy calls you father, and he realized it and took his son. So Ikwerre should thank God and thank those who made it possible to bring them to order. Whether it is through the church or Roman Catholic, where they worship together, or through political maneuvers that brought people like Andrew Jendo, Chief Abarapon, Amadi, to go down to convince him. All the welcome us. As if, in fact, I can say, as at that time, Odile was more Ikwerre than an Ikwerre man. That's why we should to thank him. Ask him to please consider this area. Consider all our beginning. And still support. There's no need playing factional politics. He's one of us. And whatever he can do to solidify politics in River State, you should not forget that Ikwerre man. Forget that Ikwerre is still growing.
The Ikwerre people believe so much in the supreme being called God.
The traditional Ikwerre people of northeastern Niger Delta, like any other cultural group in other parts of the world, believe in the existence of a supreme being whom they worship, who deserves their worship, their adoration, whom they owe whatever, recognizing that he is the source of all being, including the human beings. They call that supreme being, whom they recognize as such, as Chokuke. That is the traditional name they give to him. Beyond that traditional name of the supreme being, they have other attributes which they use in describing the same supreme being based on what they believe he does. That of Chokuke suggests that his major role is creative ability, who brought into being every other thing that ever existed. Then they believe that he is the one whose decision is final. Hence they use these attributes, what they call Otuhobi, in describing him. He whose decision is final. That's what that means. They also believe that you cannot decipher or comprehend him completely. So they call him Ebo Grebo. and such terminologies. They believe that whatever he decides is the final. For instance, they call him by attributes Chitro or Chika Ola. As he decides what happens, he's the final arbiter.
The coming of Christianity has brought a change in the worship system of the people.
A number of people have become Christians, and so you find a number of people worshiping the Christian way, believing in Lord Jesus Christ as their Lord and personal Savior. Definitely, it has affected the worship of indigenous religions of the Ikwerre in a number of ways. One would say negatively, because what goes for the traditional worship in most traditional Ikwerre today no longer what it used to be. We may call it a pollution or adulteration of the original, authentic worship of the traditional religious belief system of the traditional Ikwerre. But there's nothing bad in that. We are in a globalized world. Don't expect the Ikwerre to be an exception to being influenced by what happens in other parts of the world. And more of such globalized world influence will continue to be witnessed as we continue to progress. That's human nature and human world. It's always dynamic, and we look up to the time that the world will come to embrace what you can call a unified reality in terms of worship.
The traditional Ikwerre people believe in many gods and deities, apart from the Supreme Being.
Apart from they believe in the Supreme Being, whom they call the Chiokuke, the traditional Ikwerre believe in the existence of many other divinities or deities that are believed to be in charge of various areas of human world. They worship those ones, have procedures, the shrines established for them. They are quite in their numbers, but the principal divinity is one they call Ale. Ali divinity or Ali deity, who, if you like, you can call the arch divinity in the Ikwerre traditional pantheons of gods, traditionally speaking. Now, you have other ones like the one believed to be in charge of the waterways, the oceans, the rivers, the creeks. They call Owumini. They have Chukwudiob, they have Atawogwa, they have Miniamu, they have quite a number of them. And these ones are believed to have been created or brought into being by the Supreme Being himself.
In Ikwerre we have several gods. We have Amadioha, the god of thunder. We have Ali, the mother earth. We have Uchukwu. Uchukwu used to be responsible for smallpox in those days and so on. We have, in fact, Professor Wotobo, when I and myself, did an article on Ikwerre gods, and where we researched about 40 Ikwerre gods. And if you read that article, you see our research there.
In the past, the people believed so much in sorcery, spirit medium, magic, charms, and other fetish objects. The highest deity in the land is called the Ali deity.
Well, the Ali deity is a very important deity in Ikwerre land. You will find that every community in Ikwerre has a shrine for Ali. Every community has a shrine for Ali. Here in Alo, there are 9 communities, and each of the 9 communities has a shrine for Ali. Mbodo, which is my own community in Alo, has Alimbodo shrine. where we go to worship. Now, even within Mbodo, you find the main family groups have their own shrines for Ali. I come from Omokachi in Mbodo. We have our own shrine, and it's just behind my house there, the shrine of Ali. And the ancients believed that, in their worldview, that Ali must be a very powerful factor in human life. Trees grew from Ali. Water, all the rivers flow on the earth, on the surface of the earth. Even the birds, they have to perch on the ground or perch on the trees, which grow from the earth. And of course, all the food we eat is from Ali. We grow it. So the ancients theorized that Ali must be a very powerful factor in human life. And it's so powerful that when you plant a grain of corn, it sprouts, grows big, and produces hundreds or thousands of grains. So such a power deserves worship. And so that was how the worship of Ali, deity, started. It just came from the realization that without the earth, we can't survive. And we call it Mother Earth, you know, in the Ikwerre language. See, without Ali, you can't survive.
Ali is what English will call land, the general language. Ali is important to us, which is the land. The land is very, very important to us. Because in creation, two things, heaven and earth. Earth is what we are holding. We are not seeing heaven. So the land becomes so important to us. The earth is the land. And whatever is in it. So we hold forth to the land. And then, the land is so important because it is producing what we eat. The food, farming, fishing, and any other occupation you can do all at the top of the land. The houses we live are built on the land. Everything we do is on the land. We cannot do anything without land. For that, we see land very important. And we think and perceive there is a governing spirit to the land. So from the ancient time, our people collectively conjure the land as a spirit in a shrine. It is this shrine we direct all affairs of land. When there is an offense committed against the land, it's there we go and appease the land for exoneration and forgiveness. When there is time for harvest, for cultivation, it's where we go to ask and pray for bumper harvest. We don't use fertilizer, for example, in Ikwerre land, but we produce good food. So we have respect for the land because it's producing what we are taking. If there is problem between brothers and that boundary adjustment, even the Bible have it that you have to respect the landmark, the ancient landmark. So it is on this land that we hold forth to for our living and for everything. For that, the land itself has a spirit governing it, and then we have it in a place we call it Ruwan, in our very at the shrine, and you find it in all the Ikwerre villages. And we go there for appeasement, for sacrifice, for different kind of prayers. So land cannot be ruled out in any form in Ikwerre land.
Luckily, this is January. Anything we are doing by January, when the year is starting, we have the duty, the elderly men, the chiefs in Ikwerre land, have the duty to consult the deity Ale. If we fail to do that, we are doing a disservice to ourselves. Because there will be a time something bad may happen. An impartial observer will ask you, did you consult the deity Ale before you did what you did? If you say no, you'll be privy to the same offense which that man has committed. And that is why we always do it earlier. So that the deity will be consulted and pardon us in anything we do. Because this is Ikwerre land, Ikwerre ethnic nationality. We consult him first before we do anything we want to do.
I just been Chineke Ikwerre, or the whole terminal. Ali kuna yo kanu, akanindo wase, ame helale. Ihina ali ka Chineke ke, nyima ko hojo ali jahua, jahe ma ja boro ku ewehu, ato ku na kale hu se oku ai do ocha, e ka ai do ocha. Ani nyima ma ko hojo he ne ba ni me ali manala, ali je kan Chineke se me hela. Da kwa ma ka Chineke kwa se oku o ali toto nyo be so. So baga ali ni kure, with that power. Aguma na ali se hula. Ikwe na yo hojo Chineke elu na likwe o wa ide je be pere ochofu na yo dia ochofu na hojo ide gura ko iwu Chineke je sai gbo ba na me hojo I know too I don't know American.
You will notice people saying Nyewani, the owner of the land, because Ikwerre man derives his wealth, his health and everything from the land. We have forests, you don't see much of the sky. Where you have much of the sky, people worship sun, people worship moon, people worship deserts. Look at the people of Israel, look at the people of Egypt, and they say that Egypt is the gift of the Nile. Rulers there, they look upwards and ascribe worship and veneration to something on high. So today we say God on high. But in Ikwerre, what we see is the land. How come our land, you put yam, it grows. You put cocoyam, it grows. You put cassava, coconut, all sorts of things. It comes out to feed the people. Who makes the ordinary maize put in the ground to germinate, fructify, and multiply with seeds and so on? There must be something that does that. And so it is the ground. Anything you are doing without this land, how will you live?
The Ale deity also has some taboos to be observed.
There are taboos, which you can commit against that and you'll be held. And it's worshipped and respected. So there are some things you are not expected to do. And if you do those things, you'll be sanctioned. For instance, you are not supposed to kill your brother for any reason whatsoever, or even spill his blood. If you do so, it's against Ale, and you'll be sanctioned, and then the purification ceremonies are quite heavy. You cannot kill an animal, say a domestic animal with child. Let's say a goat that is pregnant. You don't kill it in Ikwerre. If you do, it's a taboo, and you have to purify yourself. Because the Ikwerre people respect life, even at the animal level. So you don't do things like that. And if your wife is pregnant, for instance, there are certain things you can't do to her because of that pregnancy, which is life, and life belongs to Ali. So when you destroy life, you are showing disrespect to Ali. And that's a taboo. And of course, all these taboos help to get to stabilize the community and so on. In fact, in my book, The Great Bonds, that taboo came up. Two communities were fighting, and one went and kidnapped a pregnant woman. And so there was a problem. So the other party came and said, look, the woman you kidnapped is pregnant and you must bring him back. If not, Ali will deal with you. And the chief of the place realized that, in fact, they had committed a very serious crime. So they did all they could. Unfortunately, by the time they could do anything, the woman had been sold off. But it brought a lot of problems. They had to offer all sorts of sacrifices to placate Ali. So the whole thing is that Ali is recognized as a fantastic life force on which almost everything depends. And so we worship Ali.
Ikwerre people as an entity also have some taboos. One of these taboos is something like a man having sex with a woman in the bush. When that is done, you have defiled the land. And such people have to be brought before the priest of the land for cleansing. Another taboo in Ikwerre land is homosexuality. A man sleeping with another man. When that is done, the land has to be cleansed and appeased. Another taboo is incest. That is a brother sleeping with a sister, or sleeping with a cousin, or sleeping with a niece. That is another taboo. And when that one happens, the god of the land has to be appeased. Another taboo is murder. If a man or a woman kills a member of the community, that one is a taboo, and it goes with a lot of punishment. Such people have to be sent out of the land for 7 years. And when they come back, before they take them into the community, they have to go to the god of the land and also appease the god of the land. And the next one I can remember is when somebody dies in a weekday, we call Eke, because we have days in Ikwerre land, this Ikwerre North. We count our days in 4. We have Eke, Iri, Aho, Unko. We're making for 4 days. If somebody dies on Eke day, we say the person has died very badly, that the person must have committed some serious offense, and the fellow also has to be appeased.
Taboos is that if you kill a fellow Ikwerre man, when you die, you'll be thrown into the bush. If you commit suicide, you'll be thrown into the bush. If you are a known wizard, when you die, you'll be thrown into the bush. If you're a woman and you sleep with a man in the bush, when you die, you'll be thrown into the bush. The other taboo is that you should not take their brother's wife and sleep with her. It's a taboo. In fact, it's as bad as that. The sanctity of marriage. The Ikwerre man does not, and I say it, if you're a notorious rogue, you will not be acceptable in the society. These are major taboos that bind all Ikwerre people. And another one that is serious is that you will never beat your mother.
If you beat your mother's kindred will come and hold you and beat the hell out of you. In other words, the respect to our mother is very, very dear to an Ikwerre man.
The gods are seen to be everything to man, and they fix the fortune and destiny of men.
In Ikwerre, we believe strongly that the gods have strong and powerful control over human life. And we are not unique in that. Every community in the world, every nation in the world has its own religion with its own powerful gods that control the lives of the people. If you take the Jews, for instance, their god was Jehovah. Before the modern era, Jehovah was the god of the Jews. If you get your dictionary or an encyclopedia, you look up Jehovah, you see Jehovah, God of the Jews. So Jehovah was in fact a native god until with the Christian era and so on, it was, if you like, promoted now to God Almighty. But it was a local god. You go to India, you have all sorts of gods too. They have more gods than you can even count. So here in Ikwerre, we have our own gods, and we believe that they control our lives. There are so many things we don't understand about life, and so that mystery is what gives us the feeling that there must be forces that we don't know about, responsible for the wonderful things. You take a woman, she conceives, and then gradually after 9 months, the child comes out. That's a perfect miracle. There's no way you can explain it, and even scientists can say, yeah, this is the process and so, but the very process itself, the whole thing is shrouded in mystery. We don't know, and we say there must be powers responsible for such things, and that's what we mean by God or gods.
There are many forest gods in Ikwerre land, of which Okuma is one.
I have Ibo Okuma bo Agbarake diale Obudioga. Hoja Humaka Omudon. Hola Odinye Roshin. Odinye property. Kobia. Kakana she property Okuma Chirenima.